If you do have a cell phone, if you could put it in the silent mode or turn it off, it'd be appreciated. Also, if you have something you'd like to say or comment, either on the agenda or not on the agenda, this beautiful young lady to my left, far left, even though the others are pretty, except for Ben, but he'll be glad to pass the slip on. With that, let's do our pledge. Tony, would you lead us in our pledge, please?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we move to the minutes of March 15th.
First, can we do the roll call and then?
Oh, we haven't done a roll
point of
call
order,
yet.
the public
I know.
comments were items.
Okay, let's do the roll call.
Chair Al Gower,
Here.
Vice Chair Hicks,
Here.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chester. Here. Commissioner Higginson,
Here.
Commissioner Snodgrass. Here. And Commissioner Vick.
Here.
Thank you.
And I do want to note, Commissioner Bett did reach out to me. He is coming down from a job site and is in the high desert and has been stuck in traffic, and so he may not be able to make it today, but was trying to.
Thank you for that information, Ben. Okay, with that, now we move to the public, the consent agenda.
After a public comment, we do not have any speaker slips, so now
Right.
we can go to
I
the.
think there was. So we go to the consent agenda in item for March 15th. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Do we have any public comments, Ben?
No public comment.
Okay. So we move to our first item on the agenda, which would be case number 23046. It's an architectural review.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Al Gower. Today I bring before you item number 2, case number 23-046, an architectural review associated with tract map number 16268 for a 22-lot single-family development located at the southwest corner of Holmes Street and Wildwood Canyon Road. A little background on this project. Tract map number 16268 was originally approved by the Planning Commission on July 21st, 2004. Due to several changes, a revision to approved actions was submitted in 2018 as 18-083 revision. The map is in the final map review process and is currently considered timely filed as the applicant is working towards their final city council approval. Previous submittals did not include an architectural review, and the current owner is proposing repeating the styles and elevations throughout, so they have brought forward floor plans and elevations for architectural review tonight. The site, as I said before, is located on Wildwood Canyon Road in Holmes Street. It is within our RS20M land use district, with homes that range in size of a total footprint of 4,209 square feet to 4,901 square feet. There are 3 different floor plans and 3 different elevation types that are spread throughout, with a mixture of block and vinyl fencing. The perimeter fencing of this site is largely vinyl, although the portions that are along the street frontage are stone. The site generally slopes from east to west with a WQMP kind of at the base there. That WQMP has chain link fencing for easier access. Before you is elevation 1. Plan 1 makes up 7 of the total units throughout the site, with three different elevation types shown above. It's a 4,300 square foot home with a 3-car garage, 4 bedrooms, and an in-law private suite. You can see the 3 elevation types above. Plan number 2 is a 1-story, also makes up 7 units of the site, and it is the smallest at 4,209 square foot footprint with 5-bedroom and a 2-car garage. Plan 3 shown here is a 2-story. It is 4,900 square feet with a 3-car garage and has a 6 or 7-bedroom layout. The elevation A is the farm-style elevation. It consists of a mixture of stone and lap siding veneer, as well as white and dark stucco. It's characterized with gabled roofs as a prominent feature. And elevation B is the more craftsman style with again, that more stone-colored veneer and hipped roofs. With elevation C, we have the prairie elevation, which includes wood beam accents and gabled roofs with more earth-colored stone. So it is the planning staff's recommendation that you approve the architectural elevations as shown.
Commissioner have any questions for staff? Have anybody that wants to talk about the project?
Given this is just the architectural review, it does not look like the applicant was able to make it.
No comments.
Well, we can close the public hearing and move to the commissioners.
I have a question for council on this. Are we going to have to read this every time, or can we get by with once a night?
So for this particular item, this is not a formal quasi-judicial hearing. So you're just doing, your preview right now is just the design of the project, so you wouldn't necessarily have to read that for this item. When we do get into the public hearing items, if everyone is comfortable with the ex-parte communication requirement and doesn't feel like they need further explanation, then we could just, at that time, instead of going into the full explanation, on the paper that's
We could
front of
just
you,
ask if any
we can just
commissioner has any
ask.
disclosure.
Right, but that being said, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to ask. I know this is something new, and we want to make sure everyone's comfortable with the implementation.
Okay. So I think we can just, at this point, once the public hearing's open, just come back and just see if any commissioner has
Right.
any disclosures they'd like to make at this time, please do so. Right?
I mean, I
Good
just reached out to Ben once and I asked him a simple
Do that
question.
for this agenda, for this agenda item or for the whole night?
Well, for this one to begin with, and I think just as we go down the line, we probably at each one just say, as soon as public hearing's open.
Yeah, so for this item, because it's not a public hearing, the ex
It's not a
parte
public hearing.
doesn't apply, but certainly, I think just as a point of order,
Right.
your question and clarification on that is well suited for the next.
Okay.
Okay. We're good.
So they want us to read it? This one? Don't wait the next one?
So any public comments?
No public comments.
Oh, we closed that.
Okay.
We're at the commissioners.
Block walls, is that part of this, or walls around the buildings?
Yeah, so the portion of the site that fronts, I believe it's Wildwood, is required to have a block wall, but the internal walls are vinyl.
Okay, so that's just, 2 lots at front, Wildwood.
Correct.
Okay. I know that's been a discussion item in a number of previous approvals, whether or not block was required, so.
Why is the block wall required?
So as part of our subdivision requirements, a block wall is required on any fencing that's adjoining a street is not required anywhere else for a residential subdivision. And so we don't have a requirement for that fence material.
So
Okay,
this,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, all interior fencing's vinyl then at this point?
That is
And then the retention basin, pretty small retention basin, but I guess that's part of the original plan too, right? So this came through quite a while back. Okay. That's all I had.
Then on the south side, where that's the steep hill coming down, the block wall doesn't go all the way, or?
No. It's just gonna be,
Yeah, I can see it's only partial, yeah.
it's just gonna be here. That's the only portion. What front's
Yeah, but-
Wildwood?
Okay, but this is the south side.
Right.
But
This
on
is
the south
wash.
side, is there retention, I mean, a block wall or anything on that side of that hill, or?
No, so the south side would be a vinyl fence as well. It's not a public street down below the site, and so there's no requirement in the city's development code for a block wall.
Okay. Any other commissioners?
I have a couple of things. We're just talking about the outside architecture, or is it floor plans as well?
Just the outside architecture, this is really as a,
Throw that
to some
away.
degree, kind of a receive and file for the design as a condition of approval that the architecture comes to the planning commission, but there isn't
Well,
necessarily.
my opinion on the architecture is that I think for these the sizes and the probable prices of these houses, I think the architecture could be better. To me, these look like clip art drawings. There's nothing unique about them. I'm not impressed with the architecture. There is no element of a farmhouse in any one of these pictures, to me. And the distinction between Craftsman and Prairie is just a color change. So if opinions mean anything, that's just, I think they, for this development, I think it deserves better. What else did I see? Yeah, they're not even, the roof lines, unless I'm very mistaken, the roof lines are even all the same. So it's not, I just think it could be better.
Thank you, Donna. Anyone else? Okay. Do I hear a motion of some sort?
I'll motion
What's your motion?
to move forward. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
One no. Okay, the next item on the agenda is case number 22-062, a planning use permit.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman Algauer and Planning Commissioners. This is case number 22-062, which is a planning use permit to authorize the demolition and reconstruction of a new 2,580 square foot Jack in the Box drive-through restaurant, which is located at 34504 Ukaipa Boulevard. And the applicant is Mark's Architect and is over Teams via call and may speak after my presentation. So the site
I'm sorry, Maddie, to cut you off. Did we, and I may have missed it, but did we ask for the ex parte communications?
Do we, I think we're confused on that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought we were.
It was presented first, then we opened public comment.
Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point, the item was announced. If anyone has any ex parte communications that they want to disclose, do you want to do a roll call really quick?
So we'll do the ex parte communication before the presentation.
Oh, right as, okay,
Chair Algauer.
here? No.
Vice Chair Hicks.
Aw.
Commissioner Chester.
None.
Commissioner Higginson.
None.
Commissioner Snodgrass.
None.
and Commissioner Vick.
None.
Thank you.
No laugh.
Let you know I'm here.
Thank you, guys. I'll pick up where we left off. So the property is a 0.42 acre site on the northeast side of the intersection of Ukaiba Boulevard and 4th Street, actually just down the road from City Hall. And the land use district is general commercial, as reflected by the REDS zoning on the exhibit on the screen. And surrounding development includes a restaurant to the east, a commercial complex to the west, and a pharmacy to the south. Again, the site is currently improved with an existing 2,559 square foot Jack in the Box restaurant, which would be demolished. And because the project proposed is simply a rebuild within the same commercial drive-through footprint area as an existing structure, the 5 findings for utilizing a planning use permit for approval could be made, and therefore that's why the PUP is the pertinent entitlement application before you today. The site plan is presented on the screen, and as I mentioned, there's an existing structure that is proposed to be demolished, and the current structure provides a main entrance on the southern elevation, which fronts Ukaipa Boulevard. One of the main differences with the new proposed floor plan configuration is that the main entrance would be on the eastern side of the building. And this new configuration will allow additional drive-through queuing capacity, as the drive-through pickup lane will now be on the southern elevation facing Ukaipa Boulevard instead of the western elevation along 4th Street. Access will be provided from existing drive approaches on Ukaipa Boulevard and 4th Street. And existing street improvements include curb, commercial drive approaches, and sidewalk, but the drive approaches are to be reconstructed to city standard as part of the conditions of approval. A WQMP will be prepared and reviewed as a standard condition of approval, and 16 parking spots exist on the site and are proposed to remain complying with the city development code requirements. The floor plan would provide 50 seats within the main building and uniquely integrates a clever pedestrian pickup window on the eastern elevation, which faces the parking lot area. The applicant has identified this pickup window will accommodate kind of after hours in the evening, and that the lobby will actually be closed to customers, which provides some safety element to employees at the restaurant, but then also is kind of reflective of the changing restaurant market conditions towards a more contactless kind of pickup quick service, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. As a part of the PUP submittal, the opportunity also presented itself to kind of refresh and refine the existing elevation of the Jack in the Box. The southern elevation for the existing building is presented on the screen and does reflect a little bit more of an outdated style. There's cinder block elements on the eastern elevation side. And so the applicant proposes to kind of improve that and refine that approach a little bit more consistent with the existing City of Ukaipa design guidelines, specifically with influence from a craftsman architectural and especially some nods to farmhouse style and influence with the particular material choices and color influences. For example, the projecting gabled parapets have horizontal lap siding proposed within those elements in a kind of a barn style red. And there are also stacked stone elements throughout along the base of the building and some bronze awnings proposed as well. In regards to landscaping, there's really just an emphasis on perimeter screening along the frontages, 4th Street and Ukaipa Boulevard. And pursuant to CEQA guidelines, this project qualifies for a Class 2 exemption pursuant to Section 15302 of the CEQA guidelines, as the project consists of really just a replacement and reconstruction of an existing drive-through with negligible change in use. And then as well, the Class 32, Section 15332 infill exemption, as the site is within a developed portion of the city. Consistent with the PUP review procedures, contiguous property owners were noticed and no project notice comments were received. Here's a existing site photo. This is perspective from 4th Street. And so it's staff's recommendation that the PUP is approved, the findings are adopted, as well as the categorical exemptions. and the applicant is available over call if there's any specific questions for them.
Okay, with that, any commissioners have any questions for staff at this time?
Yeah, I do, Chairman. I was just looking at the site plans from an engineering standpoint. I mean, obviously, it's very close to the corner. So I don't know, from an engineering standpoint, if there's some consideration. I noticed that it's greatly improved as far as circulation, but from the standpoint of, I've actually tried to drive my truck through this drive-through, and this is a vast improvement. But just from a standpoint of a right turn only, possibly onto the boulevard, I don't know. I don't know if there's been any consideration for that.
That's not something that staff had considered, just because there's no change to the existing configuration other than the additional queuing provided by the second driveway approach or the drive-through approach. If that's something that you want us to look at, we definitely can. At this time, just because it's so similar to what's there now, we didn't really
Okay.
review changing the signage.
That's fine. I was just wondering if engineering had considered that, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else? With that, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good evening. My name is Gabriela Marx. I am the architect for the project. Thank you for taking the time of reviewing my project today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the planning department. Madeline has been great in helping us navigate through this process, and I think that we ended up with probably one of the prettiest Jack in the Box restaurants in the area. The main concern that our client had when we started developing this project was that the drive-through queue kept merging into the parking areas, and with the access and exit from both driveways, it was starting to be a problem. Drive-through restaurants are starting to have longer queues. And in this small site, I think we find a way to address that and to improve the circulation of the site. I really think that this building is going to end up being an asset for the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. Wait a minute. You have something, Tony?
Just on the walk-up window, since that's a new item,
Can you speak into the microphone just so it can be picked up?
I'll even push the button. On the walk-up window, since that's something we haven't seen before in town, can we go back to the slide that shows where the walk-up window is? Okay, and that elevation, that's the east elevation, so that's facing the parking lot, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that was my only question, is where it was actually located compared to the
Drive-through.
the elevation, the drive-through.
Yeah, in addition to providing increased security to the employees at 2 o'clock in the morning when you only have a couple of girls working there and they want to close the lobby when it's really slow, it also helps expedite the service. If you look at the floor plan, that window is right next to the front counter, so the person that would be handing the food on the lobby can be handing the food to the person on this pickup window. And there's a lot of Uber Eats and Grubhubs that are going to these restaurants these days. And of course, we wanted to get them in and out of there as quickly as possible. Whereas typically they would either go through a drive-through because they don't want to get out of the car, or they would just have to go to the lobby. And if there's a line, staying in line, this is a very quick and easy way to just go ahead and provide the food to this outside delivery service and get them outside on their way.
Are there any plans for self-serve kiosk for outside for that, or they just walk up and order?
No, they just walk up and order. There's no plans for that.
Yeah, I think it's great because you got rid of the front doors on the drive-through. And there was a really bad kick in that drive-through right past the window. So looks like my truck
That's what I
will
was
make
saying.
it through. The dually will make it through now.
If it doesn't, please give me a call.
may have to recuse myself because I did have Jack in the Box for dinner.
No,
tonight. No, I think it's a great improvement for the store, for what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, Commissioner, anyone else have comments, questions? Okay, thank you very much. Well, any comments, Ben?
No public comments on this item.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing and move back to the commissioners. You know, any comments from any of the commissioners?
I just think it's great. I think updated Boulevard's amazing. I think moving that traffic turn off of 4th Street and putting it in their own parking lot, so if congestion does happen, it's contained. Other than that, I think it's great.
Donna, you have anything?
I think it's great.
Okay, Tony? Okay, Richard's not here, so Stacy
I feel the same way. I think it's a great addition.
and David. Nothing?
I'm a big fan of large mansard roofs, so I'll be sad to see that go. So, just kidding. So, no, I think it's a great project. So it's a good improvement for the community, and I hope Jack approves it as well. So.
Yeah, I'm friends with Jack, I think. Okay,
I'll move the
looking
item.
for motion. Yes, Donna?
I'll move to approve the item as submitted.
I'll second.
Donna, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, Lyle, second. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay. The next item would be case number 22-135, a special use permit for architectural review. Are we,
Yeah, if you can do the request for ex parte communication, then we'll get that out of the way.
Just a roll call on for the ex parte.
Chair Algauer,
no.
Vice Chair Hicks,
None.
Commissioner Chester,
None.
Commissioner Higginson,
None.
Commissioner Snodgrass,
None.
and Commissioner Vick.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Algauer. Today I bring before you item number 4, case number 22-135, a special use permit for the architectural review of a 1,200 square foot and 13-foot tall detached metal garage. Additionally, the special use permit and architectural review for a 750 square foot, 14-foot tall metal RV carport that have both been designed to match the existing home on a single-family residential property at 35404 Douglas Lane. The site is located on a 0.5 acre parcel located on a corner lot of the private street of Douglas Lane, as well as kind of the end of the private portion of Custer Street. This is located within our RS20M land use district, single residential with a half-acre minimum lot size, and it is surrounded by single-family residences to the north, east, and south, and to the west there is a church. The site plan includes an existing 2,321 square foot home with a proposed 1,200 square foot and 13-foot tall metal garage, and an additional 750 square foot and 14-foot tall RV carport. The garage and RV cover surpass all minimum setback requirements with ingress and egress provided along a new drive approach on Custer. The garage is proposed to have 3 roll-up doors along the front elevation and to be painted to match the existing single-family residence. Has a gabled roof and will be used for the storage of the applicant's cars, materials, and tools. The RV carport is 14 foot tall at its peak height, and it is also to be painted to match the existing single-family residence. The applicant has agreed to provide a 1-foot overhang along with a green screen along Custer Street. That's not quite being shown here. As a part of the project notice, project notices were sent to all surrounding property owners and no comments were received. Here you have some site photos. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that you review the architectural design of the proposed metal structures, adopt the special use permit findings, direct staff to adopt a categorical exemption pursuant to the CEQA Act, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption. The applicant is here if you have any questions for him or staff.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody have any commissioners' questions for staff at this time? Okay, would they like to make a presentation?
Nope.
The applicant doesn't want, you want to say anything? No. Well, if you come down to the microphone, we can see if we have any commissioners that would like to.
He's gonna
Thank you,
make
sir. If you
join
could just state your name, please.
David Harrison.
Okay.
Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for working with me. It's been a long time. It's been a long process to try to get everything situated. I've been working a lot with Christian here. It's a lot of switches and changes. He's doing his job to present you guys apparently the right thing that you guys want to see. I just moved here from Yucaipa, from Redlands, up on Country Club. Basically, I'm trying to fix up my house, trying to make it look a lot better, putting a lot of money into it, and hopefully I'm doing it the right way.
Okay, any commissioners have any questions?
Quick question, that RV garage, per the elevation design, shows the siding didn't go all the way to the bottom. Is that a post and beam style construction?
Yeah, and it's only, I think, 2 feet off the ground, and the fence will be covering that, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was an aesthetic question, just curious of the general construction of it, so. Yeah, no, looks great.
Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, if we have any comments, Ben?
No public comments on this.
Okay, no public comments, so we'll close public hearing and move to the commissioners. What's going on? Lyle, you have anything?
No, I said it.
Oh, Donna?
I'm jealous.
Tony? Tracy?
No, I think it's an improvement to the property, and I appreciate the homeowner doing this, because obviously there's quite a mix of homes and yards full of RVs and things like that. So I think as a commissioner, as a city, we appreciate homeowners wanting to invest in their property and improve them. So I think it's a good project.
Who doesn't want a big garage, right?
I want that big garage, absolutely.
Paint it red.
Thank you, David. Okay, with that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. No.
We have a motion and a second by Stacy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, next one we have is case number 23-005. It's a land use compliance review. And at this point, we ask if any commissioners have the ex parte disclosing.
Chair Algauer,
No.
Commissioner Beck, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Hicks. See, you're,
We're all on game
yes,
tonight.
Commissioner Chester,
No.
Commissioner Higginson,
None.
Commissioner Snodgrass,
None.
and Commissioner Vick.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair Algauer. Today before you, case number 23-005, a land use compliance review to construct a 1,200 square foot additional dwelling unit, as well as a special use permit for the architectural review of the total 2,927 square foot structure, consisting of that 1,200 square foot ADU with an attached 792 square foot garage and 935 feet of attached patios located at 9714 Topaz Street. The site is located on a 1.02 acre parcel located at the end of Goldstone and Topaz. It is located within our RL1 land use district within the custom home overlay as well. It is surrounded by the southwest and east with single-family residences and vacant parcel to the north, which is San Bernardino County. Per AB 68, the 1,200 square foot, one-story ADU is to be exteriorly. It's really the garage that we're reviewing today, as well as those patios that take it past the 1,200 square feet for the special use permit. The site plan includes an existing 3,265 square foot single-family residence, and the proposed ADU is 2,927 square feet, again with the 792 square foot of garage and attached patios. The proposed driveway will be along Goldstone and will provide secondary access to the site and will be extended to provide access to the structure. The proposed unit fits within all setbacks of the rural living land use district. The floor plan is typical of a single-family residence. It has a master bedroom, a guest room, a kitchen, and a 3-car garage, with elevations that have been designed to match the existing residence with stucco siding, with stone and veneer accent, and concrete tile roof to match the existing home. It includes a standard roll-up door and a hipped roof that is 16 feet at peak height. These are some of the site photos. The first, the one on the left, is where the proposed ADU will be, and the second is of the existing residence, which it's going to attempt to emulate. The public notices were sent to all surrounding property owners, and only one response was received, inquiring about where exactly the structure was going to be placed, and that property owner had no further comment. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that you approve measures A through D.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Chris. Anyone have any questions for staff at this time? Okay, did the applicant here wish to make a presentation? No applicant. Okay, with that, any public comments?
No public comment on items on this particular item. One thing I did want to just clarify in terms of the setback location. So the project itself has a composite development plan that establishes the setbacks that's required here. So normally in the RL district, the side yard setback is for the street side would be larger, but because of the map and the standards set forth here and the existing house placement, that's why you see 15 feet on there. So I just want to make sure that that's clear in the record that that's why the 15-foot setback is shown, because the underlying map provides that standard.
Thank you, Ben. With that, we'll close the public hearing, move to commissioners.
I just have one question, just to make sure, 100% sure, we're only considering the garage.
Yeah, so it's everything beyond the 1,200 square foot ADU. So if, let's say you
The
were to
garage
deny
and the patio covered? Okay.
So everything that improves it makes it look better. We're instead of a 1,200 square foot tough shed.
Yep, so that's, and something that we will be updating our ordinances to better facilitate the garages to ADUs, just since that's probably a desired amenity for the city to have that. And so that's something that we are working on right now.
Is there anything we can do to help so that staff can approve this without wasting homeowners' money and everybody's time, and when we're only considering 700 square feet?
So we are working on that ordinance, and we'll be bringing that to you guys pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, this just seems like a no-brainer to me, that's all.
We brought that up with the property owner. In a bit of a hurry, they're currently sharing the house with their children, and they're hoping that they can get them out.
Yeah. Move out.
Eviction.
Okay. That it, Donna? Everything else? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I meant, oh, yeah,
You're
that's
done?
that's all I have.
Okay. Tony?
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Stacy?
I have nothing.
David, anything?
I have nothing.
With that, do we have a motion?
I would be happy to move this as submitted.
Thank you, Donna. And Tony with a second. Saying that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Moving right along. And the next item is number 23-048, a conditional use permit to allow for a continued development. Okay, anyone here have ex parte disclosed?
Chair Algower,
None.
Vice Chair Hicks, Commissioner Chester,
None.
Commissioner Higginson,
None.
Commissioner Snodgrass,
None.
and Commissioner Vick.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman Algower. Today I bring before you case number 23-048, conditional use permit to allow for the continued development of a 57-unit residential detached condominium project, previously approved as case number 21-075, located at the southwest intersection of Avenue H and 4th Street. You guys might know it as Stonebrook Meadows. You've probably seen some of the development there. Under the previously approved actions, previous Planning Commission approved case number 21-075, associated with tentative tract map 18167, which was recorded for final map on May 9th, 2022. Because this development utilizes condominium development style, there's an underlying conditional use permit which is required to be active until the end of construction. Kind of a bit of a hiccup in our development code. That requires that they have a CUP active until the completion of construction. The applicant submitted this CUP to refresh their conditional use permit prior to the expiration, which would be next month. The site is located at the southwest intersection of Avenue H and 4th Street and is zoned per our general plan as RM10M. And is surrounded by similar single-family development. The site plan includes 57 detached units around a street, which is designed to resemble conventional single-family development with private amenities located on site, including a top lot with a condo map that has been recorded and the first kind of phases of construction already underway. The elevations include 2-story floor plans with 3 and 4 bedroom units. Architectural review that includes those floor plans has already been reviewed and accepted, with units which range between 1,995 square feet to 2,491, with 3 different floor plans which utilize 3 different elevations types and attached 2-car garages. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. We've got Plan 1 here, which has a farm style elevation, Italian elevation, and a Spanish elevation. It's a 2-story. This is Plan number 2, which utilizes those same elevation styles, and Plan 3. Finally, the landscaping has been reviewed and approved by our city landscape architect and is being implemented already. And so as a part of the project notice, there were some questions about why this was being reviewed again, just looking for some additional clarification. And an additional phone call which had questions regarding traffic in the area, as well as a follow-up phone call in which they had concerns regarding drainage of the site, which was referred to our engineering department. The same with the traffic concerns. As a part of this project, an initial study and mitigating negative declaration was already adopted by the planning agency. And so this project remains within that scope and requires no additional review. We're in a unique situation here where we do have already constructed units, so we can see kind of how they have turned out. And therefore, it is our recommendation that you approve the conditional use permit number 23-048, adopt the findings as contained in the agenda report, determine that the project does not require additional environmental review, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption.
Hey, Kristen, thank you. Anyone have any questions for staff?
Are these the same homes that are on the I-10 freeway in San Bernardino, and there's a huge banner?
It is the same developer.
Same developer, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all.
They're also, I think they tried to call in, so I'm not sure if they're.
So the original project was done in 07?
Yeah, so there is a bit more project history for the sake of kind of brevity, we narrowed that down to kind of the last approval. But yes, the new property owner had revisions that were ultimately approved by the Planning Commission, and really only had about 18 months from that point to finish the project, which is why they came back to.
Okay, was the traffic study used, was it one that was used back then, or did we have to get a new one?
We did not require a new traffic study.
Okay,
Yeah, this project's consistent with the general plan, so it wouldn't trigger a traffic study because that's accounted for in the overall citywide study that was done with the general plan update.
no, I'm just questioning with those that number of units, you know, exiting there, I didn't know if there should have been a traffic study done or something there.
No, so as part of the project itself, the density that's proposed or had been approved before has been consistent with the city's general plan expectations for that area. And so the traffic volumes are within what was expected before, and as part of this project would remain the same moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
And the hiccup you referred to, Christian, was could potentially halt this project if a new planning commission had voted against renewing their conditional use permit. I mean, like, it obviously put the city out to hang litigation-wise if it wasn't approved, but it seems like a large oversight that is applied to condominiums, you know?
So pursuant to our housing element, we are pursuing small lot subdivision standards, which would allow them to kind of, once they have that recorded map, not be required to refresh with the CUP. I guess you guys could halt this, but I think that
No intention to, it just seems like.
And to better clarify the details, so we have, as part of the condominium maps, they required a CUP for the land use, and then the tentative map for the one lot subdivision to create the airspace. And so in the city's development code, they've always had different expiration timelines. And even to Chair's Algar's point earlier, this went through a number of years ago, and there was a number of state extensions that applied to track maps. And so the CUP had expired then way long ago, but the map was still active. And so it's always been kind of a messy
Leapfrog?
with this particular project and just how the timeline was and those different state laws that came into effect. Really, as part of this, it is to help maintain compliance with those conditions, since city's conditions always relate to with a conditional use permit towards the end of construction, and so it's provide that. In terms of the denial of the project has been and remains consistent with the city's objective adopted standards, and so the purview for the Planning Commission to, I think, revoke that approval or to make that, there would have to be a lot more specific discussion about the viability of that. But this is more as a cleanup item, make sure that we are administering the conditions of approval consistent with what was adopted for the project and ensuring that there's no potential issues that impact the developer as they work to finalize their last phases.
Right on. I just, it seemed like a shoddy requirement for the poor developers. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah, so we did expedite this for them as well, given kind of the circumstances. Normally, when it comes to the conditional approval, if it's like, hey, you're wrapping up construction, we don't go, hey, you've hit your expiration date, you need to stop work. But since there's still more permits to be pulled, we wanted to make sure that due diligence was done. But we did make sure that we got this through as expeditiously as we could. That way there was no disruption to their project schedule.
Workflow, yeah, right on.
Is this another one of those situations where you guys should just be able to approve this without bringing it back to the commission?
That is something that
I'm asking your opinion, not.
The housing element that was adopted does call for making more administrative level approvals for projects, given that there is a substantial limitation on the discretion that the Planning Commission has. And so this would probably be one that certainly makes a prime example of.
And that won't override initial approval, just renewals? So like this project would still have to come, even though it fits the general plan, it'd still have to come to the commission for approval just for the CUP renewals?
There may be additional discussion, and this is something we can talk about as related to that or maybe in a study session, but with state law and the Housing Accountability Act, there is limitations on what we can and can't deny. And so one thing that I think the kind of goal is to streamline the process for kind of smaller scale projects, especially if there isn't room to deny the project in the first place, then bringing it and having neighbors come out in opposition for a project that we can't deny
Right.
seems maybe unnecessary. And so it's really working towards that process. But in this case, it's not in place for this particular project this time. And so that's why we're here tonight.
So how many units were in the first project?
The existing approval was 57. So
Okay,
there's
oh,
no change.
same approval.
Yeah, so it's no change to the project from what they're constructing already. It's just making sure that they have enough time to finish the project and not be in violation of the conditions of approval.
Yeah, it's virtually identical. I think the only minor differences might be to the landscaping, which was reviewed by our landscaping architect, and so there's been a little bit of poking and prodding he's done.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Public comment?
Huh?
Public comment?
Oh, public comment. Gee, thought we already did that. Any public comments?
No public comments on this item.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Boy, we're on a roll tonight here. Okay, now we move to the commissioners. Any commissioners have any questions or any motions?
I'll
I have-
second.
Stay second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. For Ben to tell us.
All right, so I do have a few announcements. It has been a long week already. I just want to cover a few key topics. One is both Commissioner Snodgrass and Commissioner Higginson accompanied me to the wonderful city of Garden Grove for the Planning Commissioners Academy, and so I hope that they found a lot of value onto it, but certainly a lot of discussion with other commissioners. We made some friends with some other commissioners at other cities, including those at American Canyon, and so we did have a nice dinner with them. And
Absolutely.
so that was, I think, educational, and I'll certainly be bringing information back for the commission at large. But one of the key lessons I think that we got from that is we're all struggling with similar
Absolutely.
issues. I mean, the project, some of the nuances are different, but when you do have projects that are contentious, the same kind of concerns that other commissioners have in other cities is the same as you guys. And so there is kind of that camaraderie, I think, between the other commissioners and how to serve their city in the best way that they can.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I do have 2 updates as well. So as I mentioned, it has been a long week. The Serrano Estates Plan Development went to a special meeting with City Council at Monday's meeting, so on Monday, and City Council ultimately voted to approve that subdivision and plan development. And then the last one is that the City Council did direct staff to prepare a urgency ordinance and moratorium for gas stations and car washes, and to perhaps maybe better specify locations where future gas stations and car washes would be better suited, and maybe providing better guidance on those particular uses. And so that will be going to City Council on Monday for kind of adoption, and then certainly any kind of direction and policy directions from council will be relayed to you guys as appropriate. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ben. Anyone else have any? With that, we can motion adjourn. We gotta move. We're adjourned.